As the regular season comes to a close, Maryland men's lacrosse could not look any better. But the same can't be said about baseball and women's lacrosse. All three had important Big Ten matchups this weekend, and we're going to show you all the highlights and more coming up on The Left Bench.
But when we get our spacing down, we seem to be clicking.
We don't typically give up 11 8-meters a game, and that happened today, and it made it tough for us to stop them.
Welcome in, everyone, to The Left Bench, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Jonas Evans, that's Nathan Schwartz. And Nate, Maryland women's lacrosse is finding itself in the loss column once again.
It's now 3 losses in its last 5 games to be specific, but let's jump into this most recent one on Saturday against Penn State. Senior day, a chance at the Big Ten regular season title. What could go wrong? Well, countless defensive errors and poor execution on attack cost number 4 Maryland the loss to number 24 Penn State. Maryland comes out on fire, rattling 6 goals off against Penn State. But the Nittany Lions flipped the board, putting up 6 goals to the Terps' 2 in the second and third quarters. Despite holding Penn State scoreless in the second quarter, Maryland cannot execute on attack except for 1 lone goal for Chrissy Thomas. Then, free positions. Maryland gives up 11, and Penn State scores on 8 of them. Hannah Lubecker scores a goal in the 4th to bring them within 1, but even pulling Sterling out of the cage and a defensive mob on the redefend isn't enough. Maryland drops this one 12-11. Here's Kathy Reese with more.
We shot probably 30% today, or maybe whatever it was. We were getting great looks on cage, had good opportunities, but didn't finish them, and that hurt us, big time. And defensively, we put them on the 8-meter more than we've ever put anybody on the 8-meter. So, for whatever reason, we don't typically give up 11 8-meters a game, and that happened today, and it made it tough for us to stop them.
That loss on Saturday for Maryland women's lacrosse now makes the path to a national championship a bit tougher.
To help us make sense of what the loss means for the Terps, we're glad to have Matthew Neus, who covers the team for the Diamondback. Matt, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So let's start with that Penn State game. More specifically, what did you see that went wrong for the Terps there in that loss?
Yeah, well, I think it was the free positions. You gave up 8 free positions, 5 in the third quarter. You go into halftime, you're up 7-3, you're up 4 goals, should be coasting. You score 6 in the first quarter. And then you just fall apart. Give up 6 in the third, only score a handful of goals in the third quarter to let Penn State back in it. And then you just match them in the fourth quarter. That was just a second half collapse. That it's a common theme this season, and that's ultimately what led to the loss.
Yeah, I'm just curious because when you look at the more recent games, there were some higher-seeded teams that they played that they put in better performances. So that collapse, like you said, where does it come from? What specifically do you think is the reason behind that?
I think it's on the attack because they're getting good looks. They outshot Penn State both in shots total and then on frame. They peppered Penn State goal all game. It's just they're not converting the chances. And you have the depth on offense. You have so many returning players, but they're just not converting. And Kathy Reese just said that they want to be 50% shooting. They've only hit that one time this season against William & Mary. So if they can get that shooting percentage up, take advantage of the chances they're creating, it could be a much different story come the postseason.
Yeah, and so obviously they don't get the win on Saturday, a game in which they could have hoisted a Big Ten trophy. Instead, they end conference play on a sour note. So how does this shape things up for the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, well, I think they're going to be a 2 through 4 seed, which is the big thing because you get to host a first-round game in the Big Ten before it goes to Northwestern for the semifinals and championship. They're going to miss out, most likely, on the shared Big Ten title, but that was expected with Northwestern and how well they're playing. The one thing, though, is you want to avoid a 4 seed, and it's out of their control. They've played their 6 Big Ten games. It's up to the rest of the league and to finish that out. But if you avoid that 4 seed, you avoid, first off, a really tough first-round game against either Johns Hopkins or Penn State, who, we've just seen Hopkins played them really well midweek, and then Penn State beat them on the weekend. And then also you most likely avoid Northwestern because they're most likely going to be a 1 seed. They're going to take care of business on the weekend against Michigan. So you can avoid Northwestern in a semifinal, and it pretty much sets them up for a championship rematch against Northwestern.
So speaking of that postseason, as they enter into these most important games, what kind of sticks out to you as this team's biggest strengths and weaknesses? You've alluded to it a little bit, but what do you think is the biggest reason why they'll win games and why they'll lose them?
Well, I think the biggest strength they have is that defense. They return so many players, Aiden Perduzzi, Brianna Lamoureux, And, you lose Abby Bosco, so you just replace her with Megan Ball, the Big Ten Defender of the Year from last year. You add Sophie Hallis into the mix from Colorado, a junior. And the draw control, Shaylin Ahern's back, Shannon Smith is back. And then you add Megan Ball again to that draw control unit. She's one of the best winning draw controllers at Rutgers, and that's translated over to Maryland. It's just a really good unit. They get so many possessions out of it. Again, but the weakness is they can't convert those chances. A lot of mid-game lulls that they've experienced against Florida. They led 7-2 at halftime, lost in overtime. Against Northwestern, they scored 4 goals in the first quarter, lost 17-9, only scored 5 goals in the final 3 quarters. So if they can just take their chances that they're creating, because they're creating a lot of chances, it could be a completely different story for this season and then into the postseason.
And over the years, Kathy Reese has done such a good job of coaching all these teams that she's been a part of up, and she's led the team far in the postseason before. Of course, the national championship speaks for itself. But for this excellent senior class, this is their last chance to do it. So what do you think is going to be their ceiling and the floor come the end of May?
Yeah, well, you said it. I would not bet against Kathy Reese come May, come the postseason. I think the ceiling is a trip to Memorial Day weekend, national semifinal. I think they can get in a top 8 seed, host a round or 2 in the first couple rounds. That'd be huge for them to play at home at the Plex. And then, they beat good teams before. They've beaten James Madison when they were number 2. They've beaten Syracuse on the road. They beat Hopkins. The first quarter against Northwestern, they looked really good. Only trailed 5-4 at the end of the first quarter. So I think they can make it to Memorial Day weekend. But I feel like the floor would be a second-round exit like last year. If they have games like they had against Penn State and Florida in the second half where they're not clicking on all cylinders, teams can easily beat them, and they can see another second-round exit.
Well, very interesting. That's all the news we have for this week. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Check out all of Matt's coverage of the team on the Diamondback. You can follow him on X at Matthew_Neus. Now, like the women, a win for the men's lacrosse squad could put a Big Ten regular season title that much closer, and Logan McNamara put the team on his back to get the dub versus Rutgers. First quarter, and it's McNamara with 3 straight saves holding down the cage. On to the second quarter, where both offenses started to rev the engine. 3 different Terps finding the back of the net, including this Braden Erksa assist to himself, putting the Terps up 2 at half. Terps and Scarlet Knights go back and forth all game until a Luke Weirman-Fogo goal, his first of the season, Terps up 3. Maryland notches 2 more goals and holds Rutgers scoreless in the final 13.5 minutes to give the Terps the 11-6 win. Here's head coach John Tillman on McNamara's 15-save performance.
He's had a really good attitude. I think at times he doesn't say it, he doesn't really show it, but I think he's been a little frustrated because his standard is so high. I think anybody would be that way, but it hasn't changed his approach to practice. And so I'm hopeful that, if he continues to obviously just keep moving in that direction, that's going to be big for us going forward, and we're going to need that.
It's no secret the Dirty Terps have been struggling as of late, and those struggles continued this weekend against Northwestern. But the final game was a nail-biter. Eddie Hakopian launches a 2-run blast over the left field fence in the first, giving Maryland a 2-zip lead. And he wasn't done. We'll take it to the 6th, where Hakopian lifts another 2-run shot, this time putting the Terps up 8-4. Even with Hakopian's performance, the Wildcats tie it up in the 8th and have a chance to win it in the 9th. But freshman southpaw Evan Smith escapes a bases-loaded, nobody-out jam to send us to extras. And we shouldn't even be surprised at this point. The Cardiac Terps do it once again. Sam Honar clears the fence with an opposite field jack to put Maryland on top. Then take a look at this. Elijah Lambros seals the win by robbing a homer that would have tied the game. Just an unreal play from Lambros as Maryland comes out on top 9-8, avoiding a sweep. All right, we've still got plenty of games to cover, including softball's tough trip to Northwestern.
And there's Drew Owens is going to join us to talk all about the rise of women's sports in recent years. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Welcome back to the left bench. Jonas Evans with you. I've got Nathan Schwartz to my right, and we've got plenty of games to cover. Nate, let's get to softball's disappointing road trip to Northwestern.
Yeah, Maryland baseball wasn't the only team losing in Evanston this past weekend. Maryland softball traveled to Evanston this weekend looking to break out of a 4-game losing skid. But that only grew as Northwestern completed the sweep with a Game 3 win. Courtney Weish gives up a couple runs in the first, but that's all the Wildcats get for the whole game. The star pitcher strikes out 9 through 6 innings, but Maryland's offense just can't help her out. The only run of the day for the Terps comes in the 4th. Michaela Jones laces a double to left center, scoring Caitlin Cornwell, but it's not enough as Northwestern wins 2-1. The loss marks the 7th in a row for Lauren Karn's squad and puts them on the Big Ten tournament bubble. For years, women's sports have been overshadowed and underappreciated, but as of late, women's sports have been taking over.
TSC's Drew Owens is in Studio B with more. Drew?
Guys, we have seen more discussion and talk about women's sports right now than ever before, and it is only going up from here. This past season, viewership was record-setting and stands were filled to watch women's basketball, and most of that had to do with the biggest name in basketball, Caitlin Clark. Clark and Iowa sold out game after game, and viewership skyrocketed this past season, one of those sellouts being here in College Park. 2 weeks before the Big Ten tournament, the conference announced that for the first time in its 29-year history, the Target Center in Minneapolis was sold out for the women's conference tournament. And that's not all. The national championship between Iowa and South Carolina was sold out too. Over 18,000 people filled the arena that game, drew nearly 19 million views, and racked up 24 million combined views from ESPN and ABC. Not to mention more views than the men's national championship game. The Hawkeyes are not the only discussion within women's basketball. Coaches and players have also made history this season. Everyone watched Dawn Staley in South Carolina as they won their 3rd title in 10 years while going 38-0, the first team to do this since UConn in the 2015-2016 season. Then there's legendary Stanford coach Tara Vanderveer, who passed longtime Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski to become the winningest coach in college basketball history. In February, freshman Juju Watkins broke USC's single-game scoring record held by Cherry Nelson with 51 points, the first freshman to do this since Elena Deladon in 2010. And of course, Caitlin Clark, who's broke countless records this season. She broke Kelsey Plum's record for most points in a season, became the women's Division I scoring leader, and broke the most career points in Division I history. Viewership was one of the main impacts that teams and players have brought to women's basketball. According to ESPN, this past season was the most watched college basketball season since the 2008-2009 season. The 2023-2024 regular season averaged 476,000 viewers across games on ABC and ESPN, with the top regular season game gaining 1.6 million views. The second and third most watched women's college basketball games of all time were the Final Four between Iowa and UConn, bringing in 14.2 million views, and the Elite Eight rematch of the 2023 National Championship between Angel Reese and LSU against Iowa, where they recorded 12.3 million viewers. And guys, this past season for women's basketball was history in the making. And with the WNBA season right around the corner, there is a lot to look forward to in women's sports, not to mention the countless other sports impacting the national landscape. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Drew and Jonas. The WNBA draft was last night, so to be able to see Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and all those other extremely talented players from that 2020 class go professional, it's going to be amazing to see.
All that viewership data that we're seeing about the tournament, it'll be interesting to see how that translates to the WNBA now, because I think the next stage of the Caitlin Clark experience is, will people follow to watch her in the professional game? That'll be very interesting to see.
36 of 40 games for the Indiana Fever this upcoming season are going to be nationally televised.
I think there's going to be a lot of people tuning in.
No doubt.
Well, Maryland men's soccer traveled to Winston-Salem, North Carolina on Friday to compete in the Spring Soccer Cup. Some of the best teams in Division I soccer were playing, including Clemson, Georgetown, North Carolina, and Virginia, all top 15 teams last season. Terps faced off against Clemson on Sunday, and last year's champs were too much for Maryland. The Tigers won it 4-2.
We talk a lot of NCAA sports here on TLB, but what about club teams? Because some are making waves across the world. The club rugby team traveled to Barcelona, Madrid, and Toledo, Spain over the university spring break.
While there, the team competed against Spanish rugby teams and worked with Spanish coaches during their practices. But most importantly, they planned the trip with the intent to give all the students an experience to see a whole new place and immerse themselves in the different cities' customs, food, and sights. TSC's Alexa Wooten has more.
Last spring, after traveling to Bermuda for a team tournament, UMD's club rugby team wanted to shoot for something bigger.
So we put out a poll to the group chat, and we all decided on Spain because it's a very cultural place.
Club rugby captain Ian Stadelmeyer says Spain was also just a natural choice.
And then also we have some Spanish speakers on our team, so we thought it'd be a really good opportunity for people to go abroad.
23% of its students at the University of Maryland go abroad at one point during their college years. However, not every student has that opportunity. So club rugby found a way so that everyone could go.
We have something called Giving Day, which is an opportunity for friends, family, alumni to help donate to the club specifically and to other clubs throughout campus. So this year we got around, I think, $26,000.
The money was used to help pay for food, transportation, lodging, and other expenses.
And I think that's what really made the trip so great, is that it was more accessible for all different players on the team.
For many, this was their first time ever traveling outside of the U.S., pushing themselves out of their comfort zones to learn about someplace new. But while they were learning about new customs and cultures, they experienced it through a familiar lens: rugby.
In the past, we've kind of just been there to purely play rugby, and it was a tournament. But for this one, it was more experiencing the culture through the rugby community.
The team's coach, Jeff Sokin, put them in contact with a former international rugby player who takes programs on trips abroad, allowing the students to compete against Spanish rugby players and learn about the country.
Rugby specifically is known for its community. It's very open, and it's tolerant of different diversities and backgrounds, and it's really a great way to meet new people and make new friends, not just in the U.S. but internationally too.
Something Stadelmeyer can now say he's done.
For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Alexa Wooten.
So Alexa has kind of stumped us on stuff we can talk about. The rugby pitch, how good were you at that in the quarterbacking days for Nathan Schwartz? How good were you at the pitch in football?
Honestly, that was one of my strong suits.
Okay.
It's something I practiced quite a lot. I mean, not so much this, but I was more of that flick of the wrist, the side, the triple option, if you will.
And I mean, just speaking of the story, it's great. I mean, people doing what they love. That's the beauty of going to a university, is you see that everywhere.
Yeah, and getting out of your comfort zone. It's something we've all got to do at some point. What better place to do it than out of the country?
Absolutely.
Now stay with us, because when we come back, we'll head over to Studio B to play one of our favorite games.
And as always, we'll crown our Terp of the Week, Pro Terp, and Top 5 Plays. Don't go anywhere.
Fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando Mario me dijo que tenía problemas en el trabajo, que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él. Y quiero que me apoyen, que me entiendan y que me quieran.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Jason, let's go see your room.
How was it? Is it good?
Welcome back to the Left Bench, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central, Jonas Evans, Nathan Schwartz, and welcome to Studio B, where we'll be playing one of our favorite games, Guess Who. Now, we've done this a few times on the show. Nate, you and I are actually going to go against each other this time. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling great. Last time we did this, I remember I was pretty good at it, so hopefully I can have that same performance now that we're going 1v1.
And we know these answers can get kind of specific and weird, so I'm definitely going to have my wits about me for this one.
Yeah, got to be on our A game.
Yeah,
got to be locked in mentally.
All right, let's get to the first one, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right.
Ooh, okay.
I've got a pretty good guess on the sport.
What? Let's hear it then.
I think it's baseball. I'm gonna go. I think it might be swope.
Okay. Okay.
I'm thinking because that doesn't look like. I don't want to be disrespectful, but that doesn't look like. Does that look like a muscular arm?
I'm looking at
like,
it on the monitor.
Oh, it might be a muscular arm though. I don't know. Maybe. We're getting kind of elbow here.
I agree. It's baseball. I think I'm gonna take a wild guess and say Sam Onar.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going swope.
All right. Let's see it. There you go. All right.
I got you on the baseball. That is not a good start. So 1-0.
If you're beating me on baseball,
yeah, that's tough. Let's get to the tennis
day.
one next, shall we? Yeah, okay. All right. Next one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, maybe I should.
Oh, I got this. It's can I just say it?
Yeah, you can say it.
Courtney Weish softball.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got is that a 47 or is that
42?
42.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably. Oh, right, the hair. I see the hair. Yeah, Courtney Weish. Yeah. Okay, so you get that point.
Yeah,
That's
I think
fair.
so. But let's confirm.
Yeah.
Let's confirm. There we go.
Nice, Scott. I didn't see the hair. You're closer than me.
That's true. All right, one for
We're
you.
doing it. Yeah.
One for me. Let's go. Let's keep along. We got 4 of these, right? Yeah, we got 4.
Man, we're going a lot of baseball. Or is that baseball?
Wait a second.
Wait, is that baseball? No, wait, no.
Oh, I think I have a guess here. Okay.
You know the sport?
Yeah. But I don't want to say it.
No, right. Let me. I don't want to have like a horrible guess.
Oh my gosh. See, I think it's between 2 guys, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so it's guys. So it's a male
Which
sport.
one?
Male sport.
I'm just.
I don't know what.
So,
I don't know what Braden. No.
So, my guess is Jacoby Gillespie, men's basketball. Newest point guard for Kevin Willard. Because I mean, you can see the jersey.
You think that's
with the M?
I'm just so thrown off by what sport this is.
I think this is one of the basketball jerseys, personally.
That's not
and also with like the white background, maybe it's like a media day shoot, right there.
I'll go with Rice then. My best
That's
guess
a
is
smart
Rice,
guess.
right?
That's a
Yeah.
smart
So okay.
guess.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Rice. Let's see who's right. We're stumped by the. That's a good guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna. I guess I was thinking spring sports, and then I saw that. And it
Yeah.
just was,
I mean, I don't think I would have gotten it if it wasn't for that little M
when
in
you
the
said
corner at the
Gillespie, that
beginning.
felt right.
Yeah.
That felt like something they would
But
do.
I didn't know whether it was going to be Gillespie or Rice. I'm not memorizing what number they wore for the jersey.
That's fair. That's fair.
In the photo shoot, but luckily I guessed right. So 2 for me.
Okay, I need this one.
For you.
I need this one badly.
It's going to come down to this last one. Let's see it. Whoa.
I'm just gonna guess me. I'm on the right side for the cameras, so. First, I think it's me.
Then I'm gonna guess myself.
Wait, okay. Actually, we should do.
Hold on.
an
I'm
analysis.
gonna come over
Hold
here.
On. Let's. Whose suit is that?
That's all we've got.
Whose suit is that?
I think that's me.
Yeah, those shoulders don't look broad enough to.
So let's just guess ourselves.
I'm guessing me. Yeah, I guess I'll go down with the ship if it's not. Let's see who Ricky likes more. I guess.
Whoa! Oh,
no! I feel like we can't do anything with a corner. Like,
they said that could have been Ricky. That could have been Alex.
I feel like if we got an ear, maybe we would have like. got tripped up still. But what am I going to do with the corner of his shoulder? I don't know.
That literally could have been anybody that sits on that side. Could have been literally any one of our anchors.
But I like that though. That's good. We should. I guess we didn't think outside of the box enough. You stayed with us. The ego got to us a little bit, and that's why I lost, because you get the 2-1 win.
Yeah, I come out on top once again.
I said I have to be witty, and then I didn't do it. I just jumped to the easiest answer right away. It's just bad. That's bad. That's bad competing from me.
Moral victory for you. You got me on the baseball.
That's true. That's true.
You should be proud of that.
You
should be extremely proud of that.
That's fair.
All right.
I'm happy getting the baseball.
So I get another Guess Who win, and now we're going to head to our Terp of the Week. And for this week's Terp of the Week, we had to go with someone who hit a significant milestone while also being the anchor of the Maryland baseball lineup. It's junior first baseman Eddie Hakopian. Hakopian looked unstoppable this week for the Dirty Terps, hitting .571 over 5 games. He had multiple hits in every game this week, including that 2-homer performance on Sunday. And we didn't mention this earlier, but Sunday was Hakopian's 100th game in a Maryland uniform, and it couldn't have gone better for him and his team with that extra inning thriller. Congrats to Eddie for being our Terp of the Week.
Now, we tend to go across the pond a lot for Pro Terp, and it's staying that way this week because former Maryland sharpshooter Abby Myers is picking up some impressive silverware in the Euro Cup. Myers signed with the London Lions in Britain's professional league, and this past weekend she was part of a big win. The Lions were crowned champions of the Euro Cup, beating Besiktas 149-145 on aggregate in a 2-game series. The decider was played in London, and Myers made sure to show up for the hometown crowd, recording 7 points and a block and an assist. Congrats to Abby for being this week's Pro Terp. All right, let's get going with some top 5 plays. Nate, we got baseball to start. You get us going first.
All right, let's do it. We're going out to Rocky Miller Park for number 5. It's Sam Honar with a go-ahead homer in the top of the 10th in that nail-biting win on Sunday. The Dirty Terps needed this one bad, and Honar was able to deliver.
We've got Eloise Clevenger at 4, powering through the contact for the goal. Look at this. She's going to get crushed. Doesn't matter. Go in the hole. Perfectly done from her.
Out to CQ for number 3, Braden Ertz with the shot. Didn't go the first time. He gets his own board and whips it in on the rebound. What a play by number 10.
We're going to stay there for number 2. Luke Weirman with, as you mentioned before, his first Fogo goal of the season, going coast to coast and staring the goalie down after. That's kind of the most disrespectful part right there. Look at him just stare at him.
It's a power move by Weirman. But how could anything else be number 1? Elijah Lambros, look at that grab. It was number 2 on SportsCenter's top 10 plays of the day on Monday, and it's taking our number 1 spot. That one saved the series for Maryland, really. That one would have tied the game at 9. Who knows what would have happened after that? But Maryland's able to come home and get that win after Lambros's catch.
It's so interesting. We've already had so many moments from this baseball team, but when you look down at the schedule, there's just way too many losses than you'd expect, right? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But Cardiac Terps.
Yeah.
They're staying cardiac, and that's the most cardiac way I think you can end the game.
That's very true. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Left Bench and our time anchoring this school year. Later this week, Eddie Calkins and Brennan Weissel will be behind the desk to tell you everything you need to know about Maryland women's lacrosse.
Be sure to keep up with all of Terrapin Sports Central's coverage on X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
We'll see you next time.